thank our sponsor, Parati's Quality Meats, located in Cranford, New Jersey, serving customers all over New Jersey for the past 50 years. To another edition of Coach's Talk, presented by the Shore Football Report. And I'm Coach Rob Davis. I think you guys already knew that. And today's special guest is a good friend of mine from Monmouth County, 37-year-old head football coach from Marlboro High School, Jason Dagato. Coach, thanks for coming on the show today.
Not a problem, Rob. I'm happy to be here.
Oh man, we go way back too. In the days that we used to scrimmage each other, always had a lot of respect for your program. That's why when coaches scrimmage each other, you kind of have a connection with a person there, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was always a good scrimmage for us. You guys were always tough. Hard-nosed football team, and that was always something we would like to see in our scrimmage season.
Coach, tough, man. That was you guys. I like to get scrimmages over with. I just want to get right into the season. You guys are black and blue, running power and physical in the box and that. And I'm like, can we just throw RPOs? Can we just, a little passes out here? But yeah, you guys definitely toughened us up for our schedule year in and year out. And, very tough football program, Group 5 school. That always was like a big scrimmage for us at Barnegat, playing you guys every year. It really was.
Yeah, no, it was the same for us. Again, you guys were always pretty successful. And you're right, that was kind of our deal and still is, getting downhill, running the ball, being a power football team. So, it was definitely good going against a team like you guys as well.
Yep. Let's get right into this talk because we have a lot of things to talk about today. I'm going to introduce you first, and then we're going to get into the process, which is my favorite part. Okay, everybody out there, this is Coach Dagato, Marlboro head football coach in his 9th season at Marlboro. Before that, he was the defensive coordinator for 4 years and an assistant 1 year before that. So you were 23 years old when you first got your job at Marlboro. That's pretty lucky.
Correct, yep.
Pretty lucky to fall and get a job like that and to stay with it. A lot of loyalty looking at that resume. A lot of loyalty.
Yeah, as far as the district goes and the people around me in the building, everybody's always been good to me. So, I never really had a thought of really going anywhere else. It was always, a good spot for me to be and, just continue to work my way up through the ranks.
Yeah, just doing some research, Coach, on your resume. You came right out of college and you just got major responsibilities put on your plate. And after your first year of coaching, you're the defensive coordinator. You're the D coordinator for 4 years, and then all of a sudden you're the head coach as you are right now for the 9th season. Wow, not a lot of time to prepare. You were thrown right into the fire right away.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing you could say about that is you realize really quickly you don't know as much as you think you do. When you're that age, getting handed that kind of responsibility. You come out of college, you think you know it all, and then you realize that these coaches on the other side of the ball from you are better than maybe you think they are. And you really start to learn how to prepare properly and how to understand, that when you get beat by something and you really look back at it on film, it's kind of how to fix yourself and how to fix your teaching a little bit. And maybe sometimes you're trying to do too much because you just got out of college and, and again, you maybe trying to do a little bit too much with the kids and they don't get it. So yeah, you definitely pick up on a lot of experience fast. You definitely learn by fire for sure.
Yeah. And it's just like teaching. It's just like teaching because football is an extension of the classroom. But I remember way back in the day, I'm sending out DVDs to colleges and making these DVDs. Now we do everything different way, technology. And boy, if you just were away from the game for 5 years and you come back, you are wowed by all the different changes of the preparations you do as a coach, right?
Yep. Absolutely. Even, you think about it, again, I think I started in 2008. Huddle didn't really take hold for a couple years later. And Huddle obviously has been a huge game changer for everybody. You have access to so much more film and so much more ability to break things down and things like that. So much more teaching abilities that you can use with your kids. But yeah, like you said, if you were away from the game for 5 years, you definitely have a lot of catching up to do.
Maybe even 2 years. That's why I want to stay close to you guys. This is me being my first year out. I don't want to, not know what's going on out there with just the technology aspect of it. It's
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you snooze, you lose in this game, right? If you're not advancing yourself, some other program is, and it's hard to get back. It really is hard to get back. So, Coach, let's
That's
get right
true.
into this talk
Sure.
because I'm real anxious talking to you today. The process is something very special for myself and the fan base. To get a chance for everybody to hear how you got to where you're at to be the head football coach. You just didn't snap your finger and just all of a sudden you appear to be the head football coach. Everything you've done that led up to you being a head football coach, I want to hear on this show right here, right from the time when you first put the mouthpiece in yourself as a player and to now where you're a head coach. So walk us through your process of becoming a head football coach.
Yeah, so I think it would start back, and not just with football, but really just sports in general. I was blessed throughout my entire life that I always had great coaches. And you could really see and feel the impact of just that positive statement you would always get from a coach. That just recognize that you were working hard, or recognize that you improved your game in some possible way. Whether it be your jump shot in basketball, or your throwing and hitting in baseball. Whatever it was. So I was always blessed throughout my entire life. Um, Really to have great coaches. My dad, my father was actually a very successful youth baseball coach, in the town that I grew up in. And, so always had success playing baseball and things like that. I really wasn't allowed to do much with football until I got into high school. But, once I got there, and literally that was really the first time I put the mouthpiece in, it was like just falling in love is essentially what it was. The first, I remember the first game my freshman year, we go out, we get a win. And, I don't even remember who it was against. I just remember the feeling after, it was like nothing you ever experienced in your life, and that's just as a freshman, and you continue to grow. And then again, I was blessed with great coaches in high school, guys that really cared about you, guys that really cared about not just coaching the game, but coaching the man, underneath the helmet, and kind of really preparing you to be successful in your life. And that's really where it got to me in that, and kind of shaped my philosophy is that, I realized that these guys were prepping me for life, and that idea of if I wanted something, like I was going to have to put literally every piece of my body and soul into whatever it was that I wanted. And you know what? I wanted to play and I wanted to be successful and I wanted to be on that field. And I put every piece of my body and soul into that. And, that was something that I could take with me for the rest of my life just because of football.
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted something, I could get it, but I just have to be willing to do everything that it's going to take. And you fast forward that, and that's really shaped my coaching philosophy. And I always had that feeling in my mind, probably dating as far back as early high school, with the idea that I always wanted to become a coach. And, as I progressed through college and I was trying to find my way, in terms of what I wanted to do with my career for the rest of my life, I knew that I wanted to coach in some aspect, and I really wanted it to be at a high school level, which really led me to the path of teaching, because I figured, what, the two are one and the same. If I have a passion for coaching, that means I have a passion for teaching.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the route I'm going to go. So, again, fast forward a little bit, you get out of college and you're all jacked up. You're all fired up to get your first, assistant job. So you get that assistant job at Marlboro, and you're just learning on the job, man. It's not what you think it is right away. It's a lot of learning. It's a lot of, and not just learning schemes and learning X's and O's. It's learning how to deal with people. Specifically the kids. Every kid is different. And that's one of the biggest things you come to realize real fast is, not every kid is the same as you were.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a bad thing. You learn from these kids every day. So you get into that, and then you start to get the coordinator responsibilities, and now you feel like the big man a little bit. You're getting responsibility now. Like clearly someone's recognizing that I'm working hard, and they're willing to entrust me with a significant portion of their program. And that was coach at the time was Derek Sininsky. And quickly I think he recognized that I was working real hard for him. So he gave me an opportunity that I took, and obviously, again, continue to put the work in. And really what happens there, so I would say, my first year as an assistant is really about learning how to work with kids, of all different skill levels and intellectual levels, fostering relationships, creating relationships. Then you start to get into coordinator duties, and it starts to become, you're basically the head coach of your defense now, and that's where you really start to learn, strategizing and planning, And not just planning, but planning for, a good practice flow, and how to get excitement out of the kids, and how to motivate an entire group, and, how to get kids to buy into a game plan and things of that nature. And that's where you really start to move into the next stage, which is eventually becoming a head coach. Um, which again, I had known since a while back that this was always my dream and my goal. So when that job opened up, I went for it, with everything I had, and luckily the school district and the athletic director and the principal at the time believed in me enough to give me that opportunity. And they were willing to hand me the keys to the program. And that's essentially where I'm at today, and again, everything's still learning on the job. So you're always still learning, specifically fostering relationships and things like that. So I think, that's really kind of the story of my process, and really what I try to weave in and out of every little aspect of everything I do coaching wise is, prepping these kids for life after football, and really trying to pass that lesson on from what I got of, look, you can have anything you want in this life, but you got to be willing to pay the price and work for it.
Coach, just looking at your timeline with your coaching, I see two major times. 23, you just got out of college, so you don't know what to expect. We all think we're mature adults and all that, and now you're 23, and now you're coaching, and you got young adults that you got to coach. That's very pivotal time for you, and exciting too, because now you think the world is yours, and then you're starting to find out it's a little tough there, and it's a little competitive field out there, because there's guys that want to know how'd you get that job? Guys in other programs maybe didn't get hired somewhere else. So it gets to be a very, very competitive thing. And then the other time is 28 years old. You're at 28 years old and you get the job. That is just like, wow. Not too many. I know I was 32 when I got my job at Barnegat, and that was very young. Being 28 and you holding on to it for 9 years right now says a lot about you. You've really grown as a coach, and that district really has, you won them over.
Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, that was not a responsibility that I was going to take lightly. And I think they all knew that. I was 28 years old, like you said at the time. I had no kids. And I'm sure, look, at the end of the day, they probably had some reservations about it, internally, but I must have done enough with them to, really convince them that I'd be the guy, and I'd be mature enough to handle it. Because, Rob, I think as well as I do, it's a lot different than it might look on the outside. Once you get in and you get your hands in, you start doing it all. There's a lot you're dealing with, between administration and parents and all these different things that pop up. And as well as I do, it's a 24/7, 365 job. It never stops. Even when you think you're in the off season, you're not in the off season.
Yeah, I know you have a lot of supportive administrators. Dave Ryden, your AD, very active, and especially in the football aspect of it, does a really nice job. Must be very comforting to have a guy like Mr. Ryden on your sidelines promoting your football program.
Yeah, to be honest with you, even going back to the thing about the age thing, Dave was probably my biggest supporter at that time. I think he obviously had a unique eye into the football program, being the athletic director, but he was the guy that really was supportive of me getting this job. And, I've always appreciated that about him. And he is always very supportive of us. He's an easy guy to have a conversation with for me. I can head down and we're talking all the time. We're always in good communication. He's very supportive of myself, my staff. He's not that guy that's going to criticize you. He'll certainly offer constructive criticism, but he's not going to second guess you and Monday morning quarterback you. He's the kind of guy that, will offer some good, solid advice.
Yeah.
If there's situations that arise, it's easy to have a conversation and be like, hey, how should we handle this? So yeah, it's definitely been a good situation for me.
Coach, my dad also raised me. He was a coach too. Me, moving up the ranks. He gave me advice. He was a police officer, and he said to me, police officers and head football coaches have a lot in common. It's a hard job to get, and it's an easy job to lose. So you got to watch it. Watch what you do. And my dad's always very reminded me of all the, the external things, how you can lose your job from a professional standpoint, police officer and a head football coach. So that was always in my mind. Hard job to get, easy job to lose. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. So,
no, absolutely. I've never actually heard that quote, but boy, does it make a lot of sense.
Yes, it does, especially with that, Coach. That's an excellent story with the process here. Thank you. All right, Coach. I'm going to talk a little COVID, but I'm going to take this mask off. I'm sick of wearing the mask. Last year was a lot of negativity. Us head football coaches, we are the most flexible coaches in the country. We are. Think of this. In the world, we always have to adjust to everybody else's stuff throughout our
It's true.
careers. And then COVID comes in, and we had all these rules and guidelines, and words like pods were put in, and we all were calling each other up. He goes, what's a pod? We're looking up the definition. What is a pod? Are we saying it right? Is it a group? But we had all these rules and guidelines. In my other talks, I talked about nobody on these committees nationally were football coaches. And how do we know that? You put pods of no more than 10 people in phase one. You need 11. You need 11. Coach, come on. Agree with me. You need 11 to practice football. I mean, what are we doing with that 11th guy, But we couldn't do that until phase two. The other thing was we couldn't have a football. I'm actually yelling at my players, put down the football, because they brought it from their house. And they're looking at me, Coach, I thought it was good. Like, there was so much stuff that we had to coach up without even doing the football aspect of it to get to phase two.
Yep.
I mean, when I got to phase two, I kissed the ground. I said, thank you. Oh, maybe someday we'll wear pads. But enough of the negativity. I want to hear in your program something positive that you took out of last year with the COVID season. Go ahead.
Yeah, so honestly, I think the biggest thing was honestly getting back onto the field with the kids. You could truly see an appreciation of what we were doing from both kids and parents, because having kids pent up so long, and we're talking about March, April, May, June, was the height of this, and then we finally get really out in July, of 2020, and just getting a lot of support from both parents and kids. Just so happy that our kids are out on the field and we're working with them, and just again so appreciative of the fact that we'd be willing to do this in the middle of a pandemic, go outside, wear our masks in 95-degree heat, just to get them running around and doing the things they love to do. And that was really the big positive for me, is really getting the appreciation and the support from people around me, whether they be, administrators, other teachers, parents, and most specifically and especially the kids within the program that were just happy to get out there, and were truly worried for a period of time that they would never get a season, especially after seeing the spring sports canceled. That was the last thing they wanted to happen, is, specifically your seniors, to really lose a year like that. It would stink. So I think that's the biggest positive I took out of that, is a real sense of appreciation.
Oh, that's great. And that's a great example. Short conference did a great job, from administration to the football coaches to the parents, and most importantly, the kids. We did it. We got it. We got it done. We did follow the guidelines. Safety first. Every one of our programs in the short conference was safety first, and that was the most important thing out there. And you're right, appreciation. You don't realize what you have until it's taken away or almost taken away. And
absolutely, that's 100% true. And I think that's where a lot of the appreciation came from, is there was that legitimate worry that we may never take the field, and I think we'll really breathe a good sigh of relief when we got there.
Yeah, that was a good life lesson. Okay, now, Coach, we're going to have you talk about the 2021 Marlboro High School football schedule, which is located on the left side of the screen. And then on the right side is the newly formed Liberty Division that you and I are going to talk about when you're done talking about your schedule. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, so I'm going to give a rundown on the schedule here. First things first, we open up with Matawan on Saturday, September 11th. So look, Matawan is a good, tough football team. I know they have the quarterback coming back. They have a big kid at running back coming back. I know their coaching staff, Coach Graber coming over from Allentown. I know he's a very good coach and crosses his T's and dots his I's and all that good stuff.
Coach, that is a scary team, Matawan. I mean, knowing Coach Graber and his resume, and with the athletes at Matawan, and now he's been there for a couple years, that's a tough first game.
Yeah, absolutely. But look, every game's a challenge, and every game present a unique set of challenges. So we're looking forward to it for sure. We know they're going to be tough. We know they're going to be athletic. We know they're going to be well coached. But my hope is that so are we. That's game one for us. Moving down to Neptune. So Neptune is game 2. So we're going to be playing them away. It'll be our first Friday night game. Love Friday night games in general. So again, Neptune, new coaching staff, generally a fairly athletic team. I know a couple of guys on that coaching staff. I know they'll have those kids, coached up well and prepared and ready to rock. So again, that'll be another challenge for us, just like every game on our schedule. So again, I'm excited for the challenges. So that's another one. Freehold Township, we're going to be playing them at home. So Freehold Township, I know Coach Davies very well. Actually, got to hang out with him for a little bit on my Disney trip earlier in June. So he happened to be down there at the same time.
Did his playbook slip out of his pocket?
His playbook did not slip out of his pocket. I was going fishing for it, but he wasn't giving it up.
Man.
But I know Coach Davies very well. He's a great guy and an even better coach. His kids will always be prepared. They'll always execute very well. They run something that really nobody else in the short conference does. They throw the ball basically every play. It's hard to defend. And just overall, coach has had a lot of success. So again, another challenge. Then take it down. We head on down to Central on October 1st on a Friday night. Interesting one for me. I'm actually a Central Regional graduate. I still live within the town. My son's going to be playing AYF for Berkeley Township, which feeds Central. So a lot of family in the area, stuff like that, which is a good thing. People get to come and see a game that's close to home, which is cool. Again, I know some guys on that staff as well. They do a good job down there. They have always tough, hard-nosed kids that are willing to hit. And that'll definitely present a challenge for us. They're returning a good amount of players that should do pretty well for them. So again, looking forward to it. Then we play Howell. That'll be at home on October 9th. And, that's a team that, it's a district team, always a rivalry, always a tough game between us and them. So that's one, anytime we play an in-district team, just like Township, it's a game we always look forward to. The kids look forward to it. That's those rivalries and stuff that come up. Again, I know they also have a new coach this year. So I'm sure they'll be working hard to get those kids coached up and ready and get them developed in their systems and things like that. Then you move it on down to Brick Memorial. Coach Curry, man, he's done a fantastic job at Brick Memorial. I think anyone would admit that. He's also another great guy. I've had some conversations with him, and he's a fantastic guy. And look, it's Brick. They're going to be tough. They're going to be hard-nosed. They're going to come right at you. They're going to be willing to hit. They're going to have some athletes. Again, that'll present its own set of challenges. But again, another game we're looking forward to. So realistically, it's every game is its unique own set of challenges. And, that's part of the fun, honestly, is trying to overcome those challenges throughout the week to hopefully culminate in victory on game day.
Coach, that schedule, before we talk about the division, I mean, your two non-conference games, you got Brick Memorial, which Coach Curry has won state championships, brought their team to a high level, has also been there for years. I want to say 18-something years he's been there. And then you have Howell, a team in your district, the Freehold School District, that just hired a legend in Billy Hill, who's so excited to be coaching at his old high school that's going to be a very tough challenge too, because he's got a lot of high energy right now coming into a big school like Howell. So those are going to be two tough non-conference games. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Look, at the end of the day, honestly, I don't care who it is. It's winning a high school football game is tough no matter who it is. And then you look at these two schools and absolutely bring up a ton of great points. I mean, Coach Curry has been at Brick Memorial forever, and he's done a fantastic job there. He's won state titles, he's won divisions, he's won all sorts of things. So that'll be tough with Brick Memorial. And then just like you said, I'm sure Coach Hill is excited to be at his alma mater. I'm sure he's raring to go, and he's excited. He's getting the kids excited, and I'm sure they're buying in. They're ready to rock too. So yeah, no doubt, definitely two tough out-of-division games.
That's nice. That's a nice take on your schedule, Coach, to the left. Now, let's talk about the newly formed Liberty. And, we talk about this in all our coaches' talks, that we don't know what our division is from year to year. In the past, we were to A South, B South, C North. But now, the way the state does their PowerPoints, you don't have a lot of time to make adjustments. So you got to make sure that your games are meaningful. So if you have a fighting chance to make the state playoffs, they put you in certain types of divisions. The new Liberty division, of course, you guys first, Marlboro, You guys are always physical, tough. Okay, you got Central. Central's going to be very good. I saw them in the 7-on-7s with Coach Jared Pigeon, and it's going to be his second year, and he's gonna get it going. And you know how it was as a first year coach that the second year is a lot easier with that. Freehold Township, a school in your district, and Coach Davies, good friend of mine too, and we like to do the same stuff, and he's the best at it. He's the best at the pass game. Matawan Coach Graber, man, have a lot of respect for him when he was at Allentown, and now he's bringing that his flavor to Matawan, and this is he's been there for a couple years, and I think this is going to be a breakout year for Matawan too, and Neptune's got tons of athletes. Just hired the new Coach Duffy. So you never know what's going to happen there. But I do know that Coach Duffy is a big line guy who's going to get those guys going, and he'll have athletes on the perimeter. That conference, that division right now, from top to bottom, there's not a lot of wiggle room, who's on top and who's on the bottom.
I 100% agree with you. To like you said about the point about the way the divisions are kind of changed around every year. I think the Shore Conference has really done a great job of creating real competitive divisions where, if you look at the information from essentially the 2019 season, the last season we did this, the amount of games that were within one or two scores was off the charts. I mean, it was basically almost every game was a tight game. So with that being said, I think getting back to that is fantastic. I think it's, like you said, it'll be overall a tough division. I think going to be a dogfight between every single team. I don't think any one team should run away with it. Wow. I think every team it's week to week. There's no clear cut. This team's going to beat that team. This team's going to beat that team. It's really just going to be, dogfights every week, 1-score games, 10-point games, maybe 12 to 14 at max. And, I think honestly at the end of it, may the best team win type of deal, and I truly believe that. I think everybody's got their, everybody's got their positives. Everybody's got their things they're working on. Mm-hmm. And, again, I'm just excited to get after it. I think it's going to be a great division. I think everybody can beat everybody in this division. I don't think there's a clear-cut favorite of any kind, so to speak. And I think, honestly, it's going to come down to a week-to-week thing.
Coach, I talked to a couple people and asked them about this division. All right. I asked 6 people. I got 4 different champions they thought were going to come out of this division. That's how competitive and the unknown is in this division. So this is a very interesting division for me to be covering this year. I'm excited to see you guys play against each one of these guys. And, the unknown. And that's something that's got to excite you, that it's open.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're coaches, we're competitors, and everybody wants to beat everybody. And I think that's the right way to do it is get teams, in a situation where the divisions are all competitive. And I think that's where we're at. It just makes for exciting football. And the bottom line is it's awesome. It's, when you look at, again, what happened in 2019, because that's the last season we had this, the amount of just marquee matchups and just, that were happening. And then also, if you look at just the tight, competitive, crazy games that were going on, and just from one week to the next, this team beats that team, but then Team A turns around and beats Team B, who just beat Team C last week, and I think that's what's awesome. That's the stuff that makes football fun.
Yep, and fun it is, Coach. Going to be this season, 2021, the Liberty Division. Okay, Coach. Now the guys that make us head football coaches look good, the assistant football coaches. I love hearing the names on everybody's staffs. I love to hear who's on the staff and who may be moved from one staff to the other, who's doing the stuff that makes you look good. So right now, 2021 Mustangs football coaching staff. Let's hear it.
All right, you got it. So we have we get 6 paid assistants, right? So, and then you have your volunteers and stuff like that. So at the varsity level, I have Coach Papalia. So that's actually there's 2 Coach Papalias in the Shore Conference, but this is Jimmy Papalia. So he is actually him and I have been friends for a long time. We actually played high school ball together. He came here, I believe, in 2016. He had been at Donovan for a little bit when it was Monsignor Donovan. Mm-hmm. So he runs our special teams. This year he's doing wide receivers, and he also does D line for us. He does a fantastic job, and you can really see his passion, specifically when he's working with the D line. He does a great job with those kids, and he really loves it. Overall, just a real knowledgeable guy, and definitely willing to honestly do anything. As far as changing positions, help this guy if something happens. I'll go take this guy's spot for a day. He's that kind of guy. He's a great guy. And he also runs the special teams for us. I don't know if I mentioned that already,
yes,
but
yep.
Yeah. And so he does a great job with that as well. I also have Reed Stapp. Him and I went to college together. He coaches on defense. He does the linebackers, and he's my defensive coordinator. Offensively, he does the running backs. He's been with me since I believe 2017 now. He does a good job, gets real fiery with the defense and has a lot of fun with those guys, gets those kids running around. So he really enjoys that. Another guy of mine is his name is Bill Cook. He works with the O line and the D line. He's a great guy again. Willing to do any and everything for you. But his real passion is up front. Both sides of the line. A very, very knowledgeable guy. Is fantastic with the technique aspects and how to get leverage and use your hands on defense and steps and things like that on offensive line. So he's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of appreciation, a lot of respect for him. I also have Coach Caporale. So his name is Tom Caporale, actually. So he was with me for a couple of years. I believe he started in 2017. Last year he took a step back, was a volunteer. But this year he's coming back on full time. So he's going to be doing our quarterbacks and our safeties this year. He's, again, friend of mine. We talk all the time. He's a very knowledgeable guy. His dad was actually a fantastic football coach up in North Jersey. I believe a Hall of Fame football coach.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's, again, student of the game. The guy's been around it his entire life, and he's real passionate about it. He gets real fiery out there. It's kind of fun having a fiery quarterbacks guy. Usually a quarterbacks guy is a little more low key, likes to have conversations and stuff like that. And that's just not in Tom's wheelhouse at all. Sometimes he gets so fired up, he trips over his own words. It's great.
That's good.
But yeah, I love it because I love the attitude. He's going to bring that attitude to the quarterbacks, and you want that a little bit with your quarterbacks, getting after it and being a little nasty. So Tom, another great guy for me. New to my staff this year is actually going to be Ryan Cassidy. So he actually played for me. He graduated in 2016, went on to play at TCNJ. His last season was 2016. Graduated in 17. Went on to play for TCNJ. He just finished up there, and he's looking to getting his foot in the door with some police careers and things like that. And just looking back on it, when he was interested in coaching, I was pretty fired up about it. He's a guy that I just remember as a kid, coming through the program. I mean, he was like literally the hardest working kid you could ever have. I mean, he was a yes coach, no coach kind of kid, tough as nails. I mean, just watching him grow through the years, going from like a 110-pound freshman to like a 190-pound senior who was, absolutely jacked. It was funny just, that just seeing that and really appreciating what he did for us. So, and now it's always interesting. And I'm sure, if you've had players coach with you, you maybe feel this way too. Hearing him come back and coach other kids now is always interesting and fun, and listening to some of the things and the aspects and the terms that he learned from TCNJ and applying that and stuff now and just really seeing the man he's become is pretty awesome for me. So I'm pretty excited about that, having him on staff as well. On the freshman level, I have Coach Barriel. He's been with me a long time, very loyal guy, good assistant, works hard for me, does everything I ask, creates relationships with the young guys, which is always important. He's very good with communication and organization and stuff like that. And that's huge with the young guys, especially because to be totally honest with you, as you know, a lot of kids don't play football to their freshman year, whether parents don't want it or kids aren't ready for it or what have you. It's very important that freshman level to create a good experience for those kids so they stick around. And then also I have another former player of mine who's going to be helping out this year, Rob Simo. He graduated, I believe, in 17. Was a 2016 football player for me. Went to the Marines. And I just remember, he was again, another great kid, worked his tail off, was there every day, reliable, took to coaching well. And it just, when he was decided he wanted to go into Marines, I was like, that makes sense for you. It'll be good for you. So he, was very successful with that. He just finished his service, which I'm sure any and everyone can appreciate. So I'm very excited to get him back in the fold and kind of bring that, a little bit of that attitude and that swagger, to the program a little bit and that teaching a little bit, you listen, at the end of the day, when you're in the U.S. military, you're getting top-notch education. I don't care what level you are. You're talking about literally guys that are on the cutting edge of how to teach people. So, I'm very excited to have him in our program.
Coach, I love talking to all the coaches about their coaching staff, and when we're not recording, we get a little more in depth about it, and just hearing the excitement when you talk about your guys, because you're all proud of your coaches, and those guys do so much behind the scenes stuff for every program. It's no different, and there's all good coaches out there, and you got a bunch of good coaches there too. You really do. They make everybody look good. Structure is very important for programs, and it sounds like your coaches are great role models in that aspect too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, at the end of the day, that was, again, getting this job so early at 28 years old. It was like, you don't really know, how important those assistants are. You were just an assistant yourself, and you don't realize how those assistants, I mean, I'm basically, some guy put it best, and it was very simple. Your assistants are literally everything. And he was right, and the number one thing is you got to hire good people. And what I mean by good people is good, high character people who, espouse good values. And look, at the end of the day, these parents, when they put these kids in our hands, they're essentially entrusting them with probably more time than they even spend with their own families at home, right? You coach, how many hours we put in on a daily and weekly basis, so these kids are probably with us more than they're with their own families. So they're really entrusting us with a lot of responsibility for raising these kids. So, I take that very personally. I take that very seriously. And that's why I'm very lucky and blessed to have a real dedicated, hardworking, high character group of assistants.
Well, it's really nice to know that those football players at Marlboro, when they take their heads off the pillow, they're coming to a practice with great football coaches and great people. Coach, we're going to talk about your 2021 Marlboro football team. And before we do that, you mentioned something earlier, that something I always preach to my football program is this, is that everybody in the world wants what somebody else has. They always do. No matter what you are, where you are, what you have, you go to a store, I wish I had this, I want this. Oh, that kid has this, that has that. My theory is this, and you hit it right in the head earlier, is that it's not what you don't have, it's what you have. And that's that. And you talk about that in football. You have graduation. Other people have other players that maybe people are talking about. Well, let's magnify who we have and not who we don't have. And let's have fun with it. And that's that. So you got to make it work as a head football coach. Nobody wants to hear, oh, we're rebuilding or we're doing all that. Hey, we graduated 8, 10 people, but we got 7, 8 guys back, and I can't wait to have it. And I know, talking off the air with you with that, you were excited to prove who you have this year. And I love that about you, when you're talking. Now, before you go on and talk about your key returning players that you're excited about, tell us briefly what you run offensively, defensively, schematically, and then get right into those key players you got coming back this season. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, absolutely. So offensively, we're pretty multiple. We run a lot of 21 personnel, 10 personnel, 11 personnel. We'll run some 12 personnel. So we get pretty multiple with our formations and things like that. We like to be a downhill running football team. We make no bones about it. We're coming right at you. I think that's not what a lot of people do anymore. So we're trying to zig when everybody else is zagging.
I loved when you had, Coach, that one year you had 2,000-yard rushers.
Yes, we did. I mean, 2 great kids. They were awesome.
Not too many people can say they had 2. I mean, that's that, and that goes to your downhill smacking people in the face, and that's your philosophy, and it really came true in that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you bringing it up. But yeah, that's who we are, and that's what we seek to do every year. Defensively, we're a 3-4. We'll move around, blitz, stunt, and those kinds of things. But our base look, we're generally a 3-4 type of team.
You just turned to it. You just turned to a 3-4, didn't you?
Right around 17. So
Yeah,
we had been, so somewhat recently, I would say.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah, and then look, as far as players go, so it's always interesting, right? First things first, I have not or had not seen these kids for a long time. So this year we weren't allowed to use the weight room for obvious reasons, COVID and cleaning procedures and all these different things. So we couldn't get in the weight room. Then you add in the fact that, so many kids were just virtual. So I really rarely saw many of my kids that are on this team. And it was funny. And even if I did see them, you can't really like go and hang out, talk in the hallways because you're not really supposed to and stuff like that. So it was difficult. It's hard. But now that the school year has ended and we're trying to turn the page and move forward a little bit, it's good to really see those kids again. So it was almost kind of like showing up with a blank mind, which honestly may have been a positive thing because then I don't have any preconceived notions on who somebody was last year and who they can't be or this or that or what I didn't see in the weight room or yada, yada, yada. So it was a good thing maybe. So we show up and, look, I think at the end of the day, we have some kids that look good, I think, physically. Obviously, again, we couldn't get in the weight room, but it was clear that they put the work in on their own. We put an app together for the kids to help them out and get them workouts. But, you could tell when some of these kids showed up, man, they put the work in the off season. We have some kids that are pretty athletic. We have some speed that I was happy to see. We actually had a 7-on-7 this morning. We were able to run around and kind of see who's what a little bit, which was kind of cool. We have some athleticism. We have a couple kids returning that played big roles for us last year. So, and the biggest thing is, I think, like you said, a lot of our coaching conversations really revolve around, okay, look, these are the kids we have. We can't go to Home Depot and buy new ones. No. So we got to do what we got to do, and you got to look at your program and evaluate your strengths, your weaknesses, and say, okay, well, how do we minimize our weaknesses and maximize our strengths? So, talking about individual guys looking at what we have, a couple of guys really stand out to me. I think my first one is probably Zach Mendez. He was our overall MVP last year. He was our starting tailback. He's a tough. I mean, he's the classic Marlboro. I'm going downhill, and if I have a choice, I'm running you over. I'm not running around you, kind of kid. And he's a great kid too. Easy to coach and all those kinds of things. So we actually started the year with him at safety last year, and then quickly moved him into the middle, into linebacker position, just because he was just doing such a great job for us in there. So I'm expecting huge things out of him this year. I think he's expecting huge things from himself. I think he's excited to get rolling. And then actually, his brother is another one that I'm expecting big things out of, and that's Ryan Mendez. He's actually he is a junior. He started for us as a sophomore last year. Got started at outside linebacker for us and wide receiver for us. Made some big plays. Learned a ton. About these positions and things like that. And you could really see, with sophomores, they flash a lot. They sometimes you watch, you're like, wow, that kid's going to be really good, And I think now his junior year, he's starting to really put it together. And I got to see him make some fantastic plays this morning in this 7-on-7.
Good.
That I'm starting to look at. Yeah, and I'm starting to look at him and be like, yeah, I think he's going to put it together this year. And another skill kid I'm looking at is AJ Schwartz, who started at safety for us, and he started at wide receiver for us last year as a sophomore. This year he's competing for quarterback. And, reason being, fantastic athlete. Quarterback was probably his more natural position, but being a good athlete, he could get on the field for us at wide receiver last year. And that's what we did with him. Another very, very coachable kid, tough kid. I mean, is the way he's physically grown from his freshman year now to his junior year is just fantastic. I mean, he's just gotten so much bigger and stronger. I mean, he looks like a fantastic athlete. Both him and Ryan actually played basketball for a very, very good basketball team. So they're both good athletes. AJ's another guy I'm expecting big things out of. I mean, he just looks like he's ready to go. But it's a lot of learning on the job for him at quarterback. Quarterback is a very nuanced position. So he's got to learn a lot there, but I also have the utmost confidence in the kid, and he's fighting it out with some other guys. And look, may the best man win at quarterback. So we'll find out.
Coach, the quarterback and the head football coach have a lot in common because a lot of the
absolutely.
blame and all that stuff goes on those guys. And he's the head football coach on the field, the quarterback. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was good. And actually, I have a young guy that him and this young guy Braden were playing a lot of quarterback for us today, and I was very excited with what I saw from both of them. And
Good.
you know what? I think it's going to be a competition between the two of them, which I love because it's going to bring out the best in both of them.
Yeah.
They support each other, but they also go out and fight like hell for those jobs on the field. That's kind of what I'm looking forward to with those guys. And then just looking at it, I think we got some bigger guys up front this year. Some guys that we don't have a ton of experience up front. We got a couple of guys who started some games here and there and things like that. But I think if we put it together, we could be very good up front. And it's going to take a lot of reps. It's going to take a lot of coaching. It's going to take a lot of effort. And look, at the end of the day, like you said, man, everybody's got their own challenges, and our challenge is really going to be putting a lot of inexperienced guys at all positions on the field and getting them repped up and getting them ready to go. And we're not the only ones with that same deal going on. But I think athletically we have some guys that can do some damage on the edge.
Mm-hmm.
It's our job as coaches to find a way to get that ball out there to them. And I think in the backfield it helps when you have a hammer like Zach. Who's going to do? Kids have to be. Teams have to be worried about him. So if he's back there and he's drawing eyes, that's going to leave somebody open on the edge, and we have to get the ball out to him. Defensively, again, those three guys I just told you about. AJ was a starting safety for us, made some fantastic, flashed, great athletic plays out there, and did a good job overall. Ryan Mendez, same way, and I think Zach was overall just your solid, very, very good, hard-nosed middle linebacker type of kid. We're looking for those three to really carry the load, and bring people along. We got some guys that got some work in last year again, and we feel pretty good athletically about where we're at. We have a corner coming back in Joe Weiss who got significant experience at both wide receiver, defense, special teams. We have some young athletes that one is returning from injury. Dylan McCauley, he showed a lot of speed for us. We got to get him finished up. We got this young guy, Jake Houston, who broke his way in last year being a punt and kick returner. Man,
yeah.
Being a punt returner stinks, dude. Like it's no good. You got 9 dudes bearing down on you, and you got to catch that ball. And man, he showed no fear, and he was great at it, And so he got a lot of experience last year as a soft doing that. And we're expecting even more from him this year defensively.
Mm-hmm.
And then up front, again, we got some guys that are big boys that we think are pretty athletic for their size,
right,
and who they are, and we think they're gonna pan out for us. We have a young guy who not young, he's a junior. He played a little bit on offense. Corey Shannon, who we think should be pretty good. We have a guy who looks like he's starting to put it together, and Loren Gunnan. He's about a 275-pound guy who's looking like he's starting to get it, both physically and mentally. We got a junior in Pete Budvite, who's a big boy, 215. Looks like he worked his tail off this offseason. So a lot of guys that I'm excited about, and I hate to name names just because I feel like I'm leaving people out now, but it's hard to just mention everybody. But to be honest with you, I'm really proud of the guys that, again, it was an adverse offseason. We couldn't get in the weight room. We couldn't do things. And then I was keeping tabs on guys. There's so many guys that, worked hard and spent a lot of money to go to, places that were expensive and things like that to make sure they could continue to be ready for us, and that's important to me. They showed a dedication to this. So like I said, I hate the fact that I was, naming names because now I feel like I left people out. But, to be honest with you, top to bottom, I'm really proud of where these kids are at right now, considering, the challenges we faced going through with no weight room and things like that. So if I left anybody out, I'm sorry, guys. I love and appreciate each and every one of you guys.
You do, Coach. You reminded me of something. I just talked to a couple of college coaches over the weekend, and I'm giving them a report, the Shore Football Report, top players in the Shore. They specifically asked me to find this. A player that may be playing another position that he won't be playing in high school but playing in college. That's the guy they want to recruit in Division III. And the reason why they said that was because it's going to show that he's a team player, and that's what they look for. And he said, make sure you spread the word to all those young athletes in the Shore Conference that play what's best for your team, and the right coaches for those programs will recruit you. They will recruit, because if you're a baller, you're a baller. And,
Yep.
and an example, you may not be a quarterback, but you might be the best athlete, and you're handing the football off, and you might be recruited as a receiver.
Yep.
You may be playing guard, but you might be a fullback in college, because that, as well as I do, that guard is basically a fullback, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so any position. So that was one thing that I'm focusing on is those guys, because when you're playing two sides of the ball, you might be better on one side or the other, but they might like you more as a linebacker instead of a safety or
Yep.
or a safety, all that stuff. So I'm hearing those multiple positions, and to all the young guys out there listening, listen to your coaches, because if you're good enough, they'll find you, and your attitude is the one that's going to take you to the next level, and or bring you down. Because
Yep.
if you're frustrated at the world because you think you're a quarterback, because you go to a quarterback trainer and he's telling you you're a quarterback, well, then you're getting the wrong advice, because you don't know, like a football coach. So we don't know where we're going to be at 4 years from now in terms of what level of coaching we're going to be. Just like a player doesn't know where they're going to be at football too.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with more with that. I mean, I had actually funny that the two guys that come to mind almost instantly with me, that have done that, and they're brothers actually, and they're both at Rowan, Jared Wright and Nick Wright.
Yeah.
Look, Nick played quarterback for me, but he did not get recruited as a quarterback. Jared played quarterback for me, and he did not get recruited as a quarterback. And these are guys that, they played multiple positions for me. Jared played some wide receiver, he played some corner, and he played some quarterback. We put him wherever was best for the team, and he just went and did it. And you know what? And that was something that came up, and same thing with Nick. Nick's sophomore year, he played some wide receiver, he played some running back, he played some corner, and these are things that come up in recruiting that coaches want to know. And I think the bottom line, when you really talk about that, you hit the nail on the head. Is like the access is so different now. Huddle, you have access to everybody, right? So the littlest thing, like your attitude, could be the thing that makes or breaks you. These guys can be a little more specific in their recruiting because they have access to literally everybody. So if you're not going to be a team player, they'll find somebody else who will be a team player who's just as good as you.
Coach, I never gave out game film. Ever gave out game film all my years to any college coach, because they're looking for what you and I just talked about, the negativity of a play. I give them the highlight films, and that's it. You don't want to show game film, because if you show anybody's game film, you're going to find something you may not like here or there. I had one of my former players call me up, Sinjin Erskine. You remember him, the quarterback that we had?
Yep.
And he got offered, Coach, swear to God, as a sophomore. He was an excellent athlete, a strapping, looking good sophomore, by Miami University. Coach Coley came down and offered him as a athlete. Now, he just only played quarterback, never played defense. Trust me. His only tackles were after interceptions. Trust me. That's what. So he wanted them to play outside linebacker as a athlete, and he looked at me and I said, "You got to take that, man. Like in terms of thank you. Not saying he was going to Miami, but the people will offer you as a projected this or a projected that, with that. You might be a lineman, and you may be a center somewhere else. So you don't know. Broaden your skills. If you're a lineman, try and snap. Have that on your resume. Do long snapping. Do all that stuff. But the main thing is listen to your coaches, because they want to hear the football coach's opinion of the player, not the person that trains them out there, not the person, anyone else there. Because it's so easy to say some great thing. It's you're with them all the time, and they value your opinion on every athlete. And I know you speak the world of every kid in your football program, and you don't like your kids, you love them. And that is something I've noticed throughout the years. And that's why we've stayed very tight through the years, and you're one of the good guys of the short conference, and you have a bright future. You're only 37 years old. I was 37 once. That was 20 years ago. But, so I look at you, Coach, and your program, and you're starting to hit it now. I mean, your 9th year, and you just got so much mileage ahead of you. And I'm excited about your program. I'm excited about your division you're in there. I'm excited about everything about this season for you and your program. And I wish you guys the best of luck. But before we leave, I want everybody at Marlboro to make sure that they follow the Shore Football Report Coach.com. I'm a .com dude right now. You got it. You got it. I have a .com right now. It's real simple. You need to be able to spell .com and the and the .com, and then you squeeze in the Shore Football Report, and then you get right on my site. And then we make you laugh. We got so much information on that website, Coach. It's for coaches, it's for players, it's for parents. I'm going to have live stream stuff of all the games going on. So if you're going to a game to scout, you can watch another game when you're on there. We're going to have everything there that I think that's going to be very beneficial for everybody. And I'm going to entertain everybody. I'm going to juggle. I'm going to do that. Put on my best Hawaiian shirts on. But I'm excited about covering the Shore Conference, and also definitely looking forward to covering Marlboro. You got anything to say about the Shore Football Report.com?
Hey, look, man, it sounds awesome. I'm excited to be a part of it, honestly, and I'm definitely going to spread the word about it throughout my program, the parents, the kids, the ShoreFootballReport.com. Love it. Coach, I wish you the best of luck with it. I know how you are, and I know that you're going to put everything you got into this. So, I'm excited for you, and I hope everything takes off.
Coach, one of the unique things we're doing right now, I hate top tens because there was 43 schools in the Shore Conference, and now it's 42. They have these top 10, and everybody kind of knows who the top 10 are, and you could be pretty decent and be actually the 12th best team in Shore, but nobody recognizes it. We're doing a top 20 coaches poll, okay? And I'm also going to include a fan poll where they're going to get to pick the top 20 teams, because I want to hear that maybe the number 17th ranked team is playing the number 11th ranked team in the Shore. We're going to create excitement. We're going to create excitement because you know what? There's more good football teams than just 10 in the Shore. There's 20 to 25, and let me change that. I would say from top to bottom, there's a lot of competitive football going to be going on, not just this year, but years to come. So we're going to make sure a lot of programs get recognized on this show, and we're going to have the input of the head football coaches of the Shore Conference voting, because it's not my top 20. It's yours. You're getting a vote, Coach. We're going to do it just like college. I'm going to be the good guy. I'm just announcing it. I'm announcing it. So I'm going to get no hate mail. I'm going to be looking good. I'm just going to say, well, this is the Shore Conference coaches top 20, and then I'll have the fan one, and I'm going to be the good guy, and I'm just going to say, yep, and that's that. So we're going to have a lot of fun. All right, we're going to get this up tonight. We're going to get this up tonight, probably around 9:30, maybe 10, and then you guys can start promoting it from your program. You got a lot to be proud of. You really do. You really do, and I'm excited. Coach, who are you? Coach, I mind me asking. I haven't asked anybody else because we've always scrimmaged. All that. Who you scrimmaging instead of Barnegat now?
We're doing. We have a scrimmage with St. John Vianney.
Oh.
We have a scrimmage with Raritan, and we have a scrimmage with Toms River East.
Wow.
So some good tough scrimmages. I'm super excited. I really want to make sure we got some good quality football teams in. I think we nailed that with all three teams. I think they all bring a different element, a different flavor. I think this JV is going to be athletic and talented. You look at Raritan. I mean, they're as tough as they come. I mean, Jesus, they love hitting over at Raritan. So, Anthony is a great, fantastic football coach. They'll be well coached. They're going to come at you. So that's always a good one. We usually scrimmage them every year. I love that scrimmage because, it's good. It's good to really toughen you up. And then, Toms River East been doing very well the past couple of years. That's a quality football team. So I was excited to get them on the scrimmage schedule as well.
I'm going to better that. I think you're just excited to get going. You want to practice. You're excited to sweat with those guys, bond with those guys, and let's get back to normal. Let's just get back to normal.
Absolutely.
This thing right here, let's not wear it no more. All right, unless our ADs tell us, and then you wear them. You do all that stuff. But other than that, Coach, I want to thank you. Thank you for coming on this show. It was a pleasure. All you guys, when you call me up now, I always say, we talk for 35 minutes on the phone. We should just film it and just have it on here. And that's how this whole thing started, Coach, during the COVID last year. I would talk to people on the phone. I said, I'm spending 40 minutes. I said, let's just do this live and let everybody else hear what we're doing. We're not trashing anybody. We're just talking.
Yeah.
Right?
Having a little fun. It's good.
Yeah. All right. So thank you. And best of luck to you, Coach. And, looking forward to seeing you soon.
Hey, appreciate it. Hope to see you at one of our games.